eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord. He is the maker of heaven and earth. Psalm 121, verses 1 and 2. Welcome, friends, to the Word for Wednesday for May 3rd, 2023. This is the third and final installment of our series on Easter People, Raise Your Voices, as we reflect upon the words of this song by Reverend William James, written in 1979. The third verse begins this way: "Every day to us is Easter." This is an important and powerful proclamation that for Christians, Easter is the culmination of our faith, remembering that the resurrection affects every aspect of our life, and every day is Easter. Throughout Christian tradition, Sundays have been a mini Easter, even when it wasn't Easter Sunday. It was an occasion to celebrate the resurrection of Christ. And so each time we gather together as the people of God, we say that we have the resurrection inside of us. We are crucified with Christ, but it is no longer we that live, but Christ that lives in us. We've been crucified with Christ, and now we also have been risen with Christ. Easter People, Raise Your Voices continues in verse 3 by saying, with its resurrection song. One of the great things about the Christian faith is that it's a singing faith. And one of the ways that theology has been taught throughout the centuries is through song. And this song on hymn number 304 in United Methodist Hymnal reminds us that as we sing, we learn theology. And the songs in our hymnal remind us of the power and the grace and the goodness of Christ. Even the ones we're not so familiar with, even the ones we don't always sing, they can teach us something great about God and about our faith. And so I remind you with John Wesley, as he gave instructions for singing for the early church here in the United States, he said, take the songs within this book, which then he was referring to a book called The Sunday Service. He said, remember these, learn these, and sing them with fervor. I remind you to sing your faith. Verse 3 of Easter People, Raise Your Voices ends in this way: when in trouble, move the faster to our God who rights the wrong. When in trouble, move the faster. We have a tendency as human beings, when trouble and crisis and difficulty come to us, to run away. But what this song reminds us is to run closer. What the psalmist reminds us in the first verse that I shared with you today in Psalm 121 is to look to the hills, to run to God first and foremost. The easiest way to get to the sun as it's setting is not to head into the sunset, into the west, but to run towards the darkness, to run towards the east. The truth is that as we run closer and try to get towards the sun, it'll always be further and further away from us. But when we can run into the darkness, we can run into the wrong, we find the sun will rise even sooner, and God's grace and God's goodness will be there for us. I hope this helps you today, and I hope you be blessed by God as you become more and more of an Easter person. God bless you, and have a great day.